What is up, guys? We're back with our OBA Season 3 Week 10 match. I'm pretty sure it's Week 10. I'll know when I upload this. But if you guys are hyped for this, feel free to drop a like down below. And if you are new, subscribe as well for more videos like this. Do apologize for my camera. I don't know, I tried recording like 3 times now, and it refuses to stop. I don't know why it keeps twitching like this. I'm not quite sure. I cannot control it, so I do apologize for that, guys. My camera's like fucked up or something. I'm not quite sure why it does this. If I move it back and it kind of stops, but then it's not really that clear, so I kind of have to move it up to the point where it's kind of clear. I'll keep it right here for you guys right now, but I do apologize about that. Other than that, we're actually going to be going against Adam, coach of the South Carolina Skeptiles this week. We actually ended up getting swept by him last season, which really was not fun, by Mega Gyarados and a part by Banded Drapion, I think it was. So that was very kind of bitter last season, getting swept by him, especially when it really wasn't a time where I needed the most wins I can to get into playoffs last season. So I kind of built this team around about 2 setup sweepers, and I kind of want to sweep him in return this season, just to kind of get revenge and rub salt in the wound, because I was kind of bittersweet about this loss last season. I kind of wanted to avenge this. My opponent does not have any Rapid Spinners or Defoggers, which is something I really wanted to take advantage with this week. I will go over my sets in a bit here. I also did trade away Qwilfish to Duat plus Mario, coach of the Minnesota Slackings, for Flygon, and that's why we have Flygon this week, guys. I know there's going to be a few people that are asking why I have Flygon on the team. We actually traded away Qwilfish. Qwilfish I haven't used since I drafted it, and I'm bringing Flygon already. So at least we brought Flygon once, if I even decided not even to bring it the rest of the season. We at least brought this thing once, unlike Qwilfish, which is pretty much just useless. Flygon's incredible as well, gives me another defogger, a lot of other things I really don't want to go over in this video, but you guys know how good Flygon is. That, I think it really benefits me very well. I'm not sure why this fucking thing keeps twitching around. I don't know, again, I apologize for that, guys, but my opponent really had a lot of powerful mons. He actually had the Azumarill and stuff like that. Mega Venusaur, which is a huge threat I had to really prepare for this week, which he does bring, which I expected. Also expected him to bring either Sylveon or the Entei. I wasn't quite sure if he was going to bring the Entei just because of Manaphy. But he actually ends up bringing both. Probably 2 of the best wall breakers in the game, being Entei and Sylveon. And they can be run a lot of different ways. I guess really not Entei, because it's pretty two-dimensional, but Sylveon's very diverse. I should know I had it last season. He also brings the Vivillon, which I wasn't quite sure if he's going to bring that, but he actually ends up doing it. I'm not quite sure. It does match up decently well against most of my team, and since my team's mostly more bulky, it does have a kind of easy time to set up, as long as I don't get the rocks up. He also brings the Scrafty, which was kind of 50-50. I wasn't quite sure if he was going to bring the Scrafty or not. I'm assuming it's pretty much just for Cresselia and I guess Mega Absol or something like that. He also brings the Weezing, which I'm not quite sure why he brought the Weezing either. I guess maybe to hardwall Entei and Swellow, even though Swellow pretty much is a 2-hit KO on it, depending on his set, still with Facade. Even if he's like super like max invest into like defense and HP, still does a shitload to it. So not really 100% counter to if he was trying to counter Swellow or something like that. But I made the team. I think it was on Tuesday night and into Wednesday. I started working on the team just before I had to go back to school. School has been completely slaying me, guys. So I do apologize if content does slow on both the channels. School, first 2 days of school, complete shit. School, I really pretty much have to get up at 6 every day, which is very hard on me right now. Pretty much have to get up at 6 in the morning every day and go to school. I have an early bird class which goes 3 hours, and I have a shitload of other classes. I pretty much go and don't get out of school till like 4 o'clock, just because of the bus takes so long getting back to school at the end of the day. So I pretty much have to wake up at 6 and go all the way till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is kind of a pain in the ass and it's very exhausting for me. So if you guys do not see any videos up, please understand that I am trying to go through school right now. School is completely kicking my ass, and school comes first. This is more of my free time. Whenever I have time, I can throw an upload for you guys. That's why I have a lot of stuff pre-recorded as well, like the showdown sessions and stuff like that, which I'm going to pre-record, throw those up for you guys every few days for now. But Trevor gonna record these pretty much up to date. I had my match about 25 or like 20 minutes ago. I guess like 25 minutes ago now, because I tried recording it like 2 times with the Twitch camera. But My opponent's bringing a very, very threatening team. I'm going to go through my sets for you guys. I'm bringing Curl, Alt, Delete, the Skarmory, bringing Spikes, Stealth Rock, the Whirlwind, and the Roost. Whirlwind being that he has a lot of setup sweepers, like the Scrafty, which could possibly Dragon Dance. Really didn't see him bringing this, but also Growth, Venusaur. If you wanted to be that guy and run like Sunny Day Entei or something like that. You also had possibility for Belly Drum Azu, which I wanted to counter with Whirlwind. Calm Mind, Sylveon, and set up Vivillon. He also had the possibility, I think, bringing Mismagius and Dugtrio, which he does not bring. So I'm very, very surprised he does not bring Dugtrio. I'm guessing maybe just because I'm not quite sure why I didn't bring Dugtrio. It matches up pretty good against my draft. Maybe he was fearing Manaphy and Venusaur, I guess. That's probably the two biggest threats he was fearing there. But other than that, running it fully defensive. Plan is to get my rocks up as many layers of spikes that I can because he has no Rapid Spinner or Defogger. Once those rocks and spikes are up, they're there to stay. And it also helps my team out when late game where I can come in and pretty much pick a lot of mons off just because he has so many mons that are weak to either spikes or rocks. Stuff like that, and especially when he has a Vivillon, Entei, and other things that can take a lot of damage from spikes. I really wanted to get those up in this match. Bringing We Are Baby Metal, the Mega Absol this week. Bringing the Zen Headbutt mostly for the Wheezing and the Venusaur, just to hit it with something that I can at least kind of get some damage off on it. It really doesn't do too much depending on his spread on both those mons, but I just really wanted something I can hit super effective to the Venusaur mostly with Zen Headbutt, and I guess Wheezing and stuff like that. Play Rough, mostly for Scrafty, just hit it for super effective. Otherwise I get kind of walled by it if I don't run Play Rough. Sucker Punch, just because it's no-brainer. And running the Sword Stance. Plan was kind of window things down with Spikes. Predict Switch, possibly come in on like the Venusaur or something, live a hit, set up a Sword Stance, and go to town with Zen Headbutt or something like that. Once a lot of his more faster mons and priority mons are gone. Bringing Choice Scarf Flygon this week, ranch it up. If you guys do not know that reference, you guys need to check out the Eric Andre show. Bringing Choice Scarf Flygon, running the Jolly Nature. New to the squad this week, so I was really hoping to test the thing out in this battle. See how it does. I'm pretty sure it's going to do a lot more than Qwilfish ever did for us, but it did a lot more even because we brought it this week. It did more than Qwilfish has ever did for the last, like, I don't know, 10 weeks since the draft. So it already did way more than Qwilfish by just being on the team. But running the Earthquake, U-Turn, Rock Slide, and the Dragon Claw, more of a straightforward set because Scarf Flygon really matched up decently well against a lot of his mons. Bringing a Cresselia set. Now this team was really built around this Cresselia set. I'm looking at his team, and I'm looking for really good sets to actually run on Cresselia. Now this is a set I never ran once before this season. He really has no counter for sub Calm Mind Cress once I get set up with it. So that's really why I wanted to bring it this week. We're bringing Cresselia with Substitute, Calm Mind, Moonlight, and the Moonblast. If I would have ran Psychic over that, I would have got walled by Scrafty, so I was kind of forced to run Moonblast there. Otherwise, I probably would have ran Psychic, just because it hits a lot harder. But with the Scrafty being there, which I was a possibility of him bringing just for the Cresselia, I kind of had to run Moonblast there. So, granted, at +6, Moonblast's still going to be hitting shit that's even not super effective on, and like resisted for like good damage still. So, Moonblast was all around the best move to put in the last slot. Running max defense, max HP, and once I get it set up to +6 or like +3 even, is like +2 or +3, even at +1, I'm putting out decent damage to most things. Pretty much the thing was to come in. It was more to set up on the Mega Venusaur, which can't really touch me. But depending on his spread, I actually probably would have outsped him because I'm actually running Timid. I'm not quite sure what he was running on his, but I kind of wanted to at least pretty much like take a Sludge Bomb, set up a Substitute, which he would not be able to break with the Sludge Bomb if he was like not like fully defensive. He cannot Leech Seed me, he cannot Sleep Powder me. Pretty much go to town with Calm Mind. Either that or set up on the Wheezing, which was another thing I kind of wanted to set up on. And the Mismagius, which really couldn't touch me, apart from like Shadow Ball. But Shadow Ball still isn't going to be doing too much to me once I start getting set up. I can eat 3 of them up easily, and once I get a +1 up, I can even eat them up better. And from there, I just roll on. So, probably one of the counters, if he was running like Specs, Sylveon with Hyper Voice, probably was one of the worst counters to this, and probably Bug Buzz Vivillon, which was I was kind of fearing. Also, like Bandit Entei, which can break my sub very, very easily, so kind of had to look out for those. Other than that, kind of built the team around that because I really wanted to set it up, and it was so good against this draft. Sub Calm Mind Cress. Bringing Banded, Arcanine running the Extreme Speed, Iron Head, Close Combat, and the Flare Blitz. Hit this team super hard. He really has no switch-ins for this thing, I guess, apart from Azu and the Weezing, but once those two are gone, this thing can pretty much come in and actually click Flare Blitz or E-Speed, depending on what I need to clean up. Bringing the, that was actually Pride Killer, the Arcanine. Trump Perez, pretty much a standard set, running the Protect, Brave Bird, Facade, and the U-Turn with the Flame Orb, pretty standard. Do apologize, guys, if I ran it on a little bit, but there was a lot I had to get off of my chest here, just because a lot of the recordings you guys have been seeing actually were pre-recorded before school started, and this is actually the only time I really had to get this off my chest, because a lot of people actually watch these videos that watch the channel, so kind of wanted to go over the things that have been happening lately, just to keep you guys up to date, and then go over the team. So he's going to leave with the Weezing here. I leave with Skarmory no matter what, just because even if he would have led Entei, I have the Sturdy, I'm guaranteed to get my Stealth Rocks up, and with the Vivillon and the Entei being there, and just for residual damage on a lot of his mons, I needed those rocks up, because I knew once they were up, they will be able to stay there. I actually surprisingly outspeed this Weezing. I'm not quite sure why I outsped, unless it's running like a minus speed nature. This Skarmory is like naturally outspeeds Weezing. I'm not quite sure, I'd have to look, but was really surprised I actually outsped there. He actually goes for the taunt there, which if I were him, I would have went for the taunt out in turn 1, but then again, I guess it wouldn't really matter because I would have my rocks up already. Going to predict the Flamethrower here, going to go out into Pride Killer, hoping to get that 1.5 times the Flash Fire boost here. He actually goes for a double taunt, so good play by my opponent. Now right here, if he had like Sludge Bomb or something like that, he pretty much had to go for it right here. He could not go for Willow, he could not go for Flamethrower. Had to go right out into Skarmory again. He actually goes for an Infestation, so judging my set right now, Infestation, Taunt, and Flamethrower, it's more of like a support set and like a Stally set, which really isn't that big of a deal against my team, and it pretty much gets walled by sub Calm Mind Cress at this point too, so which is very, very nice. So I can pretty much send the Cress in freely. I know I'll outspeed. I will get a sub up. Flamethrower, Infestation cannot break my sub. He cannot taunt me when I'm behind the sub. So Cress is pretty much has a free range to come in here. I get my 2 layers of spikes up there. Pretty much just because I can get him up. I sack Skarmory there just because I really don't need it. I guess I could stay around for the Scrafty, but at that point I really don't need it once I get set up with Calm Mind Cress here. He's going to go swap out into Sylveon here. Now, at this point when he was sending it in, I'm assuming this thing was like all out specs. Maybe to like counter this. Maybe he predicted sub Cresselia or something like that. I wasn't really quite sure. But I'm going to set up my sub right here. Judging by this damage here, he's pretty much, I think he's like a bulky set. I'm assuming he's special defensive from this damage here, because that is not specs damage. If it was like specs damage, it would have did around by I think like 60, like 75%, even when I was at +1. So he's definitely not specs. I'm assuming he's more like a bulky special defensive set, maybe to like counter Manaphy or something of that nature. I'm not quite sure what he was running, but that's even better news for me, because now I can just pretty much sit in here and freely set up. My opponent at this point kind of probably getting panicked at this point, but he really shows no panic. If I were my opponent, I would have went out immediately out into Entei and start breaking the sub with Sacred Fire and trying to counter this thing. That's what I would have did if I were my opponent right here. My opponent actually just ends up staying in here right here. I'm not quite sure why he stays in right here with the Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is doing little and little more each time as I keep setting up here. Pretty much at this point, unless he switches out, I can pretty much set up freely to +6, and at that point I can kind of pretty much demolish the rest of his team to the point where either Mega Absol or Swellow or Arcanine can come in. Hell, even Ranch It Up can come in and actually pretty much clean up the rest of the game, depending on the last few mons he has. So that really was my plan at this point. Set up to +6 and kill as many mons as I can while I'm in here. Again, not quite sure why my opponent is staying in on me. He's pretty much let me set up freely right here, which I was fine with. Again, if I were probably my opponent, I would have went out right out into Entei and actually starting spamming Secret Fire. But I guess it depends on what Secret Fire set he was running. I guess most of them. I think pretty much all of them break the sub. It depends on the set though. I had to look. I only looked at Choice Bandit. I think Choice Bandit. I think was an all-out offensive, which both broke the sub. But it depends on what set he was running. I'm assuming he's running out like Choice Band or something, um, stuff like that. But just gonna keep calm minding up here, guys. Kind of straightforward. I'm not quite sure why. Again, not quite sure. My opponent has pretty much let me set up freely right here. Not quite sure why. Maybe he thinks that Vivillon with Bug Buzz can maybe come in and actually kill me, which he cannot kill me if I'm at +6. It only does around like 25% with Bug Buzz. So Bug Buzz is not an answer to this thing, even at +6. Maybe he's planning to come in and actually break the sub and Sleep Powder, which I was assuming what he had in mind. The reason why he stayed in right here is just because he probably has Sleep Powder Vivillon and tried to break the sub somehow with his Entei, which is probably one of the only reasons I kind of thought him actually probably staying in right here. Other than that, I don't know. He's pretty much letting me set up freely here, which I'm fine with. Again, it's all over my opponent here. I'm gonna go for the Moonblast, scout how much damage this does. It's actually pretty much a 3-hit or 4-hit KO. Again, I'm assuming this thing is probably fully special defensive. If it was offensive, it would do a lot more. So I'm assuming either max HP or fully special defensive at this point, which is absolutely awesome. At this point, Hyper Voice is only doing like 5 to like 10 damage, which I'm fine with. I'm getting more leftovers back than Hyper Voice is even doing to me at this point now. So my opponent's pretty much just going to sack Sylveon here, which is very, very nice. Definitely very, very nice. Even though Arcanine or Pride Killer can come in and pretty much kill this thing at this point with a Flare Blitz, and probably even an E-Speed at this point too, if I even did need to, but there really was no point in switching out at this point. And once this thing's gone, my Mega Absol can come in pretty much safer. I really don't have to worry about anybody switching in on like predicted Sucker Punch or anything like that, and having to switch around, play that switch game with this thing. Definitely a huge drop on my opponent's team once I get this thing gone, so that's awesome. It's like a 3 or 4 KO here, so. And we finally get this thing gone, so that's a huge, huge threat off my opponent's team now. Mega Absol looking very, very nice as well. Really didn't have too many heavy-hitting special attackers on my team. My team's mostly physically bulky, or not physically bulky, physical attackers. I guess it is a switch in to Flygon as well, which was a Flygon threat as well, so that thing's gone. Not quite sure why my opponent went out into Scrafty here. He does carry the, whatever that is, I'm not quite sure what berry this was. I'm not quite sure what even berry that was. But it's 4 times effective, and I'm at +6. The Roselia berry is not going to stop that. I really didn't know what the play behind that was. He pretty much just sacked off his Scrafty right there. I really wasn't quite sure why he did that. If I were him, I would have went straight out into Entei and started breaking the sub. But he pretty much just sacked him on for nothing there. I'm not quite sure if he's going to live or thought he was going to live or something, but Roselia berry did not help. It was still a 1-hit KO no matter what. So being 4 times effective and at +6. Now this here is what he should have did on the previous turn. Come in. I'm assuming this thing is either banded or full out offensive. Break the sub. Moonblast still does a decent amount, plus the spikes and Stealth Rock very, very helpful in this match with this Entei. Sacred Fire does do a decent amount. I'm not quite sure if that's banded at this point, but I really didn't care, to be honest. Entei is pretty much dead now, so I really don't have to worry about it. That's also a huge threat off the field. No E-Speed spam towards the end of the game, nothing like that. So that's a huge threat I have to worry about gone. So, along with the Scrafty, which he pretty much just sacked off, which I was fine with. Now at this point, he does come in here. This is telling me that he actually has a Sleep Powder here. He does go for the Sleep Powder, lands the Sleep Powder. I'm assuming he's Compound Dice. That's the reason why he landed it, but I'm really hoping here to at least get a 2-turn Wake Up or something like that of that nature, because once he starts setting up, I kind of thought this thing was either Focus Sash, but he actually turns out having leftovers, which is even worse. I'm assuming he has Sleep Powder, Quiver Dance, Hurricane, and I think Bug Buzz, which I'm assuming his set is. Once this thing starts getting set up, it can pretty much sweep my team, and if it actually has leftovers, keeps gaining health to the point where I cannot kill it with an E-Speed if it gets too high. So that was a very, very big threat. I happened to get the 2-turn Wake Up here, or I think it's a 1 or 2-turn Wake Up right there. I'm not quite sure how many turns that was. Do apologize for that, but We get the wake up there. We actually end up killing. Even at +1, it actually ends up killing. Vivillon's so frail. At this point, it's coming down to my Weezing, or my opponent's Weezing and his Venusaur. These Stealth Rocks and Spikes are very, very helpful. Super helpful for the Cresselia sweep here. At this point, my opponent really had nothing to touch me with. Sludge Bomb does not break my sub. Giga Drain does not break my sub. Leech Seed is not affected by sub. I wasn't quite sure what he really had. He actually has knockoff, which he pretty much has a spam knockoff because it's the only thing that can actually break my sub. And once I have no item, it actually does not break my sub, so that was very, very nice to know. Pretty much just sitting here and actually spam Moonblast now. It doesn't do the most, but it still does a decent chunk of health to where you can't really spam Leech Seed or anything once my sub's gone. It actually takes 2 knockoffs to break my sub, so that is very, very nice. I can get 2 huge hits off on this thing. And at this point, he pretty much has a spam knockoff at this point too, which I kind of knew. Kind of knew he had to spam knockoff because Sludge Bomb does like nothing. Giga Drain does nothing. If you wanted to set up a Leech Seed, there's a possibility of me going behind a sub again, and he would be in the same place as before. Going to make a very, very risky switch here, and actually Project Knockoff. Getting the Justified boost. Finally using the Justified, guys. Justified is something I wanted to use all season, and we finally used this ability. Going to Mega Evolve here, get it with the +1 attack boost. This is very, very awesome. Absol couldn't come in here and actually clean up the rest of the game. Mega Absol, putting in the finest of work right now, taking out a Mega Venusaur from the range it's at. Also, big thanks to Cresselia. Cresselia and Mega Absol here, pulling for MVP in this match. 2 insane mons. Even at +1, I cannot 2-shot this thing, or I cannot 1-hit KO this thing from the range it's at. It's actually a 2-hit KO still, which I'm fine with. Assuming he does not have Willow or anything like that, or Sludge Bomb. He actually goes for Flamethrower. I'm not quite sure if he doesn't carry Sludge Bomb or what, but maybe T-Spike. I wasn't quite sure he was carrying T-Spike either. Wasn't really quite sure on his last move, but 2 Zan Headbutts actually end up killing this thing. So Cresselia putting in the finest of work, and actually Absol's Justified ability coming through in the end and putting in a lot of end game work. So props to Mega Absol and props to Cresselia, 2 of the MVPs for this match. And we actually end up picking a 5-0 right here. Pretty much avenge our loss from last season, guys. That is very, very awesome. Picking up a 5-0 is also very, very huge. Next week, actually, I end up getting a forfeit win because our opponent next week, Scarf Sylveon, actually left, or pretty much dropped the league because of school starting and stuff like that, I think. So we pretty much get a 1-0 forfeit win next week. And then after that, it's actually back to facing people in our division, which we go back to actually facing Attack on Samurott. So, looking very, very good. Pulled off a huge upset here with a nice 5-0. That is really going to help us. And we actually pulled off a huge upset last week as well, getting a 1-0 over Nazer. So, we're on a little bit of a roll here, guys. Not going to jinx myself, but I guess 3 win streak because next week we get a forfeit win. But after that, it's actually going to be coming down to the division matches, 4 division matches, and then it's going to be playoffs. Hoping to be top 2 in my division. Hopefully make it to playoffs, guys. I'm really confident that we can make it to playoffs. Hoping to look forward to actually using Flygon a lot more in the next few matches here as well. It did not even hit the field in this match. Did not even hit the field along with Swellow in this match. Both didn't even hit the field. So looking very, very much to actually use Flygon in the next few matches here. Other than that, hope you guys enjoy this. We actually ended up picking a 5-0. Huge win for us. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why this thing is twitching out. I do apologize for that, guys, but if it was like twitching out. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy that, feel free to drop a like down below and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. I'm your coach of the Grass Plains Raikus, Brad Mew. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I will be back with, I'm not quite sure if I'll be back with week 10 because it's a forfeit win. So I'll be back with week 11. So I'll be back with week 12 when we go against Attack on Samurott and face the rest of our division one more time. That being said, I'm going to get out of here. Hope you guys enjoy. See you guys next time. Peace.